Okay, let's talk about a book that's over 200 years old, but somehow feels like it could have been written yesterday. I'm talking, of course, about Jane Austen's masterpiece, Pride and Prejudice. What is it about this story that just sticks with us? Why do millions of people still read it and love it? Well, that's exactly what we're going to break down today.
So yeah, this is the big question, right? How does a romance from the horse and buggy era stay a bestseller? And listen, the answer goes way deeper than just a simple love story. We're talking about stuff that's hardwired into us, timeless human nature, sharp social commentary, and just some of the most clever writing you'll ever read.
All right, first things first, we got to set the scene. To really get Pride and Prejudice, you have to understand the world it's set in. And believe me, it was a world of incredibly high stakes. This right here, this is the engine that drives the whole plot. For the Bennet sisters, finding a husband wasn't a fairy tale. It was basically a business decision. It was about survival. See, their family home was legally set to be inherited by a male relative, which meant if they didn't marry well, these 5 women would be homeless and penniless the second their father passed away. So when you see Mrs. Bennet frantically trying to marry them off, yeah, she's a bit much, but she's also fighting for her daughters' lives. That pressure is real. And right in the middle of all this pressure, you get this iconic clash of personalities. We're talking about two of the most famous characters ever written. Okay, so let's break them down. On one side, you've got Elizabeth Bennet. She's sharp, she's funny, and she really, really trusts her own judgment of people. Maybe a little too much. And on the other side, you've got Mr. Darcy. He's super rich, he's got a strong moral compass, but he's also so stiff and hung up on his social status that he seems like a total snob. It's like they were designed in a lab to misunderstand each other completely. And this quote, this is pure Elizabeth Bennet. In a world where money and family name meant everything, she basically says, nope, we're from the same class of people, so we're equals. End of story. She's not impressed by his wealth. She believes her own worth comes from her character and her mind. And that fire, that refusal to back down, it's what drives Darcy absolutely crazy, but it's also what he can't resist. But here's the thing, if this was just a will they, won't they story, we probably wouldn't still be talking about it. This book is packed with big ideas that are still a huge deal today. Let's start with pride. It's right there in the title, right? And at first, you think it's all about Darcy. He's so proud of his status that he can't see Elizabeth for who she really is. But, and this is the brilliant part, Elizabeth is just as proud. She's proud of how smart she is, how good she is at reading people. And that pride makes her completely blind to Darcy's true nature. And of course, where there's pride, there's usually prejudice. Elizabeth makes a snap judgment about Darcy the first time she meets him. He's rude, so he must be a bad guy. And she sticks with that prejudice, filtering everything he says and does through that initial bad impression. Her whole story, really, is about realizing how wrong her first impression was. It's about learning to be humble enough to admit you got it wrong. Austen also takes a really hard look at the whole institution of marriage. I mean, back then, it was often just a business deal. You married for security, for status. Love was kind of a bonus if you were lucky. And Austen uses the different relationships in the book to really dig into this question. What actually makes a good marriage work? And this table lays it out beautifully. You've got Charlotte and Mr. Collins. That's your marriage for pure financial security. It's practical, but there's zero romance there. Then you've got Jane and Bingley, who are just sweethearts. Theirs is all about genuine affection. But the gold standard for Austen? That's Elizabeth and Darcy. Their relationship is built on something more solid. They truly respect each other and they get each other, even the messy parts. That's the ideal. Okay, so you've got these amazing characters. You've got these big, timeless themes. But the real magic, the secret ingredient that holds it all together, is Jane Austen's writing. Her style is just a killer combination. Her wit is so sharp it could cut glass. She uses irony to poke fun at everyone and everything. The dialogue is just perfect. People talk like real, smart, funny people. And she gets so deep into her character's psychology that you feel like you know exactly what they're thinking. It feels incredibly modern. And here's a really clever trick she pulls. We, the reader, see almost the entire story through Elizabeth's eyes. That's huge. It means when she's prejudiced against Darcy, we're prejudiced against him. We believe the gossip right along with her. So when she gets that big reveal and realizes she's been wrong the whole time, we feel that shock too. We go on the exact same journey she does. It's genius.
So let's circle back to that big question we started with. Why is this book timeless? Why does it still endure?
Well, it's really like a recipe for a perfect classic. Step 1. You start with an incredible, compelling romance. Step 2. You dig into these universal human flaws like Pride and Prejudice that we all have. Step 3. You talk about social pressures, money, status that, let's be honest, we still recognize today. And step 4, you write the whole thing with so much wit and intelligence that it just sings. It's a formula that can't fail.
So what's the final verdict? Oh, it's an easy 5 stars, no question. For the characters, the story, the ideas, it is pretty much a perfect novel. At the end of the day, that's what it is. A masterpiece. It's one of the greatest love stories ever told, for sure, but it's also a brilliant commentary on society. It succeeds on every possible level. It'll make you swoon, it'll make you laugh, and it'll definitely make you think.
And that really leaves us with this one big idea to chew on. Maybe Austen's point is that finding real connection with someone isn't about them being perfect. It's about us being willing to get over our own stuff, overcoming our own pride and our own prejudices. And that's a lesson that is just as vital in our world as it was in hers.